Nancy Pelosi is approaching the podium right now, you might notice that she is wearing exactly the same outfit that she wore 1 year ago for the impeachment.
This vote, the ayes are 232, the nays are 197. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
The first step in that process is to root out white supremacy, starting with impeaching the white supremacist in chief.
When you say white lives matter, they don't. And I'll say that again, whether I'm a Twitch partner or not. Just so you know. White lives don't matter because white lives aren't a thing.
They give a damn about white supremacy. They care about preserving the social order and the mythology of whiteness.
I'm a little confused. Is it all a myth? What's the mythology of whiteness? Jesus, into whiteness, the white lives not exist?
Yeah, so that guy, he's a Twitch partner.
Yes, he's a Twitch partner.
Which
His
means
name is Critical Bard.
But he has another
he's
name,
obviously
like
apparently
Omega
a knight.
something or something. I don't know. But he's basically Twitch is you play video games and people watch you play video games on their screen. And these people make a ton of money.
Yeah.
Esports is a huge industry. So anyway, but he's a Twitch.
Why don't I have the make a ton of money gene?
I don't know. But that's one I'm not jealous of because I have no interest in playing video games at all. It's just not a thing that I have. So I'm not like, damn, I wish I could sit around playing video games all day and make money. Like, I wouldn't want to do that. That's not like a life that I envision for myself.
Apparently there's all sorts of colorful talk about race.
So, but this became a story because Twitch has banned other people for like not being anti-racist enough or whatever.
Oh, I see.
And so a bunch of people were saying like, how come you're banning people for like being too edgy and like yet Mr. White Lives Don't Matter still is a Twitch partner. Like,
okay, so here's Critical Bard, the chunk of his commentary today.
I guess want to comment about. So what's happening is because I'm kind of seeing it a little bit on Twitter plus in here. Someone shared that a conglomeration of all the times I said white feelings don't matter, and are pressed about that, and now are using that as a tirade against me, saying, "I thought you don't have PogChampers who don't say bad things." And I'm like, totally not the same. I'm not condemning.
Is Pog the video game?
I don't really know what PogChamp is. It's also he replaced another emote, which I don't know what that means either. Like this, it might as well be a foreign language to me, frankly. Like all this stuff. But yeah, he's today's PogChamp. I don't know what that means exactly.
I'll make sure I take up valuable brain space finding out.
Knowing that critical blog
and an entire people and defending insurrectionists and people who did some headassery. I'm saying that when you say white lives matter, they don't. And I'll say that again, whether I'm a Twitch partner or not. Just so you know. White lives don't matter because white lives aren't a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, his actual name is Omega Jones, which also sounds like a fake name, but okay. His actual name is Omega Jones. Critical Bard is his like Twitch name.
Right.
So he was selected as today's PogChamp. Twitch removed PogChamp emote after its face. Ryan Gutex Gutierrez tweeted support for the insurgents who stormed the U.S. Capitol. Shortly after that, suggestions to replace it began rolling in. Who suggested that PogChamp emote should cycle through a variety of streamers, making the iconic
Alice, don't
face.
you dare please make me use my cerebrum on this. I don't want to know any more about PogChamps.
So basically, Gutex, a.k.a. Ryan Gutierrez, got banned because he supported the people who surged the Capitol. But now they have made Critical Bard.
Good.
Into the PogChamp.
Good, he gets my
emote.
vote. I'm all for it. White lives do not exist. I agree with him completely. Cori Bush in the Capitol today, she's the newest squad member. She actually must have been learning at the feet of Critical Bard because her take on why impeachment must be. By the way, he was impeached just a few minutes ago. You heard that in the open. Is race-based, shockingly enough, in 2021.
Madam Speaker, St. Louis and I rise in support of the article of impeachment against Donald J. Trump. If we fail to remove a white supremacist president who incited a white supremacist insurrection, it's communities like Missouri's 1st District that suffer the most. The 117th Congress must understand that we have a mandate to legislate in defense of Black lives. The first step in that process is to root out white supremacy, starting with impeaching the white supremacist in chief. Thank you, and I yield back.
Sorry, what happened to Missouri's 1st District on January 6th exactly? So she said they suffer the most from the white supremacist insurrection.
Yes, that was St. Louis. That was the last go-around before George Floyd, the last one.
No, I know. She has Ferguson in her district, too. I know about that.
Ferguson,
but she's saying that the white supremacist insurrection at the Capitol on Wednesday was most damaging to Missouri's 1st District.
Well, wait a second. So do whites exist or not? But just white supremacists? I don't know. So that get used to that. Ayanna Presley up here says the same thing. It's white supremacists. It's gibberish. Doesn't mean anything. It has lost meaning. They wore out the utility of racist, so they've had to find the next most cutting word, and white supremacist is it. I don't know where they go to after that, because I think that's pretty much it, right? Because we've used Hitler.
Nazi, white supremacist, and Nazi.
Oh, you know what it'll be? It'll be Trumpist. That'll be the new thing, because he's all the...
but that's 75 million people. Like,
the great thing is about this is that you're right. It's not going to work. Or you can use somebody from Sauron or something. is that
PogChamp?
There's no white supremacy event that happened last week. I respect folks who are race baiting people or in the business of racism for trying to abscond with it as some kind of
we're going to be racist back. Ha ha.
But nobody knows what that means. It doesn't mean any sense. That's not what happened. It wasn't, the thing at the Capitol was not about white supremacy or pancakes or POG or, the Starship Enterprise.
Or Missouri's 1st District.
Right. Or my Aunt Peg's shoe size. It was not about anything that it wasn't about. And it was simply a bunch of yahoos, the mob of idiots.
I mean, if anything, it seems to me that the people who were the furthest in and the most boisterous were people who are QAnon believers, which, that spans the ideological spectrum. A lot of those people are... very crunchy people. They're often anti-vaccine, a lot of them think the virus is a hoax, but they, the QAnon people think that there's a plot at the highest levels of government by an international cabal of child molesters to keep us up.
But if you've got a bunch of guys dressed like water buffalo, the thing that should jump out at you isn't white supremacist. It should be something a little more stark, like there's an insane person here with a beaver pelt on, carrying a podium, smiling for the cameras. There's a lot at work there. None of it is white supremacy, but you can't tell that to anybody because that's the new thing. 10 years ago when the Tipping Point book came out, or 12 years ago, whatever it was, maybe more, 15. I was just getting into marketing meetings then, which at every one of them, I wanted a bus to come and run me over before I got into the room. And people would talk about the tipping point. Yep. And so we're coming to a tipping point. 8 years ago, it was disruption. You
need to disrupt things.
Yeah, disruption, exactly. And now white supremacy, and it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Well, things have to be anti-racist and
white supremacy. Jesus, and we've given so much. The white supremacist community, which is a small one, in the great Northwest or wherever it is, they are getting so much attention now. Now that we've all decided to assuage our guilt for owning a Range Rover, it's absolutely incredible. AOC just released a video as well. This video, in this video, Alice, she is point blank yelling at the camera.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What emotion washed over me?
Were you attracted to her?
I would say yes. It was some kind of weird thing where, yes, she was. It reminded me of getting yelled at for being out too late with the boys. And she's just, some people are very attractive when they're angry. And maybe that's not, I'm sure has to do that. Well, I don't exist. So
I don't think that's what she was going for, was to have you.
Well, you're going to hear what she's going
to
for.
her.
You tell me if you're suspecting a theme.
I don't want to hear or see the Republican Party talk about blue lives
You come home drunk with your stupid friends every night.
ever again. This was never about safety for them. It was always a slogan. Because if they actually cared about rule of law, they would speak up when people break the law. They would speak up. They would enforce fairness and equity, but they don't give a damn about the law. They don't give a damn about order. They don't give a damn about safety.
You never cut the lawn. It's an absolute embarrassment. The sink still leaks. And you lie around here? Look how fat you've gotten, you disgrace. I love it.
Maybe I should try this on you. I haven't necessarily used
maybe
this
she
approach
should be
with
my
you.
shrink.
Give a damn about white supremacy. They care about preserving the social order and the mythology of whiteness than the grandeur of our democracy.
Grandeur?
That's what they care about. They lust for power more than they care about democracy.
Jesus, there's a lot going on in their world. I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
but so this is
By the
what
way,
confuses
is grandeur something like grandeur?
me. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't go to BU, so I don't know. Okay.
But you're right. It conflicts with what our PogChamp friend is saying, which is that white lives don't matter because there's no such thing as white lives because it's all fake. But like, the mythology of whiteness isn't something that white people have built up. It seems to me it's more something that progressive anti-racists have built up.
Right.
Until the last few years, I don't know any white people who sat around thinking about whiteness as a concept.
Outside of the classroom, no.
I don't know
No,
anyone. So, but now I thought what they wanted white people to do was sit around thinking about how white they were all the time. Isn't that what we're supposed to do, to be anti-racist?
It changes every few hours. I don't know what we're supposed to do.
I don't know. I can't keep up. Are we supposed to think about being white, or are we supposed to try and not be white, or is there really no such thing as whiteness at all? Or
And what do I do about my grandeur? I don't even know how to approach fixing myself in a way that's going to make her happy. I don't get it. I mean,
how much time did you spend today propping up the mythology of whiteness?
Like an hour and a half. I did, actually. I was with Jerry Callahan this morning. That was the theme of the show. But also, it's all this terminology that's all this entire construct. They create it all. This fictional land. It's their own version of Dungeons and Dragons, where and we have an orc who has 59 hit points, who's got a speed of 6, but a dexterity of 18, and then she's yelling at us for abiding by the teachings of that orc, when it's like, I'm not even playing D&D with you. I don't know what your orc is or what I've done wrong here. You've made it all up, and stop yelling at me. But she can yell at me, because that's a different thing.
But you don't plan on doing any of the things she's telling you to do.
I wouldn't know how to go about dealing with my whiteness. What are the action items that I need to get on?
I assume they have a Venmo you can send money to start.
Right. I'm going to need to do something else. Does my grandeur allow me to write an IOU? I don't know. I mean, it's so crazy. And just think, she is young, successful superstar, who I'm told is quite beautiful as well. And this is what occupies our mind?
I don't want to hear or see the Republican Party talk about blue lives ever again. This was never about safety for them. It was always a slogan. Because if they actually cared about rule of law, they would speak up when people break the law. They would speak up. They would enforce fairness and equity, but they don't give a damn about the law. They don't give a damn.
The Republicans don't speak up when laws are broken?
Yeah, so I'm wondering, who is she seeing who is endorsing the violence at the Capitol?
Well, she's probably talking about the 200 Republicans who voted against the impeachment, I assume, or
Right,
the 200 who voted, or the 100 whatever who had a problem last week with the count.
Right, who voted against, who objected.
I don't think he goes as far as their whiteness, though.
Damn about order. They don't give a damn about safety. They give a damn about white supremacy. They care about preserving the social order and the mythology of whiteness. Then the
What the hell could that even possibly be?
I mean, like, so, because literally we were all being told over the last couple of years that, like, color blindness and not thinking about race isn't what we're supposed to do. That being colorblind is wrong, and not spending all your time thinking about racial dynamics is actually a form of racism. So, but now we're spending too much time thinking about the mythology of white supremacy and propping up our grandeur or whatever. I don't even know what it is. I mean, like, do anti-racists think that we all sit around thinking about how white we are all the time? Because I can tell you that until all this race stuff started, I hadn't spent any time thinking about it. And I thought part of what they wanted was for us all to perform self-examinations about whiteness all the time. Not that I'm going to do that, but I'm trying to understand what it is that they're trying to say.
I'm trying to, like, the myth of whiteness in talks myths of facing down his color as a path to privilege. James Baldwin said that there was no hope for anyone who considered himself white. By that measure, Maurice Berger figures he has a chance at salvation. Mr. Berger's skin is white, but increasingly he views race as a social construct, a thing apart from all the more nuanced ways he defines himself. He loves to cook, take long walks, and spend time with his companion of many years. When he looks back in his own history, he can virtually smell the Sabbath candles and feel the way his heart raced as he learned how to shape words into thoughts. These days, he's best known as the author of White Lies, Race in the Myths of Whiteness, a book that is being widely read in circles pondering issues of race. The book's admirers say it stands out from the many books about race because it is a detailed, intimate look by a white man into his racial identity and attitudes. Oh, Jesus, what seems fun. Mr. Berger writes about his mentally ill father who admired blacks from afar, his dark-skinned Sephardic Jewish mother who loathed them, and the mostly stunted dreams of the black friends from New York housing project where he grew up. He acknowledges how his own racism came to the fore when he had to compete with a black classmate in college and his repugnance over his father's flirtation with a black woman. He also writes about his growing awareness of how whites are personally limited by embracing racial myths in everything from beauty to intelligence, but continue to enforce those myths among themselves to preserve a sense of superiority in the privileges of whiteness.
Oh.
The glasses we have on are the glasses of race, Mr. Berger said recently, using...
Sounds like projection to me.
Yeah, using his usual soft tone of voice. If we as white people start taking stock of how we're introduced to race, to black and white, we can see how whiteness is privileged. Mr. Berger, an art historian by training, freaking shocking, subverts what he sees as the prevailing orthodoxy of whiteness that James Baldwin denounced in the 60s. Baldwin, best known for such essay collections as Notes of a Native Son and The Fire Next Time, as well as his novels, saw people from all countries, religions, and ethnicities become simply white when they came to the United States. In shedding the particulars of their histories, Baldwin said they lose some of their humanity, a trade-off for inclusion in a group that exists only to exercise privilege. Christ, this is a complicated way to live. Can you imagine? This is the complicated way to live. It is delicate and sad enterprise. This race business, Mr. Berger said the other day in his Upper West Side apartment, Race is such a big, complex, painful topic that no one knows where to start. Mr. Berger is suggesting that they start with their own histories. He has, to most critical acclaim, Lori Adlerstein said in the New York Times Book Review, he has, to most critical acclaim. Lori Adlerstein said in the New York Times Book Review that, quote, White Lies was often startlingly original. There's a group of people I would love to hang out with. I found it to be startlingly original. David Rediger, a leading scholar in the relatively new field of white studies. Jesus Christ.
Well, that's
you
like,
paid
do you
for
remember,
this college?
Do you remember in the town we used to live in, there was a group that it was a class that you could sign up for that was called White People Challenging Racism. That was a class you signed up for to teach you about you and your whiteness and how you could combat racism while still being
Berger's
white.
Book brilliantly charts the process of racial awareness and contributed to a meager body of work about the origins of anti-racism among whites. Mr. Berger said he had received an avalanche of mail after yada yada. I've gotten everything from hugs to hate mail in the last 3 months, Mr. Berger, a tall, thin man with piercing eyes and a gentle manner. He is 42 and speaks in long, thoughtful sentences. Christ, these people are all in a cult. This is a crazy cult of feel-good, warm sweaters blowing into fresh-made coffee, and pseudo-intellectual exercise in vanity. That's what this crap is. Jesus, is the Times around here? Did you put where's the Times? Oh, there's the Times. Let me grab it. Jesus. God, can you imagine? There's a waste of freaking time.
But that's why, though, they have a lot of time to sit around thinking about race and whiteness. So they assume that everybody does. But I can assure you that those people who stormed the Capitol have not put a lot of time into thinking about the mythology of whiteness.
Some of them carried spears. One guy had a trident, Alice. Oh,
but yeah, the only people who spend as much time thinking about race as white supremacists are these people. Like, there's no one. The vast, broad middle of the country, it's like 3% of people on either end think about whiteness all the time and race and everything. And then, the rest of us, the other 94% of us in the middle, just go about our lives and try and live them.
And the coastal media plays right along because they're absolutely into this stuff, and they're thrilled to be, performative dancing for the cause. If it's not for a more white cause, by the way, which George Stephanopoulos was doing, he couldn't get over the historic moment today. It was as if this is like play-by-play of like a royal wedding.
Nancy Pelosi is approaching the podium right now. You might notice that she is wearing exactly the same outfit that she wore 1 year ago for the impeachment of President Trump, and that mace, that brooch on her lapel, signifying the sergeant-at-arms, the power of the sergeant-at-arms, the authority of Congress.
He reminds me of the play-by-play guys from the Westminster Dog Show.
Yeah.
Incredible, very strong gait here, and Molly is a 3-year-old Bichon Frise. So that's going on. There's a lot of your white mythologies happening all over the place. Another thing that's going on is there is some distancing happening between notable folks and Donald Trump. Ken Langone, who works for a company called Home Depot and owns a company called Home Depot. That's him, right? Or is it Staples? Where's Ken Langone? Hold on, let me see where Ken Langone is. Ken Langone, who's also a myth, by the way.
Yeah, organizing the financing for founders of the Home Depot.
Okay. He's a major donor to the Republican Party. He was on CNBC today, and the host puts a question to him, and off he went.
My question to you is, what is your feeling about this today? And as I've asked others, including Mick Mulvaney, as somebody who supported this, do you feel like you enabled it to some degree?
Trump's bad behavior.
I feel betrayed. Okay? Going through the court system to try and get some results, he exhausted everything. It was over. Biden's the president. Biden should be in the White House. And I'll give you a very simple thing, Andrew. I think the biggest mistake anybody can make is to offer mitigating reasons why what happened last Wednesday was a disgrace and should never have happened in this country. And if it doesn't break every American's heart, something's wrong. It breaks my heart, for sure. I didn't sign up for that. And more importantly, I think right now all of us have one, to me, I'm speaking for myself, I'm going to do everything I can from day one to make sure I do my part to make Joe Biden the most successful president in the history of the country. And there's a selfish reason for that. We've got very serious, major issues in America to deal with. We've got the pandemic. We've got the debt. We've got infrastructure. We have a horrendous condition of public schools in America. We have generational theft. What the hell is a guy like me doing getting money from the government every month?
Ken Langone, 2024.
I know. Comes out in favor of means testing Social Security, I guess. I guess that's what that last
Well, in
sentence there
bailout
meant.
checks, probably. Stimulus as well.
Money. Well, he wouldn't have got the bailout checks because
you're right.
those stop at a certain amount of money in, but Social Security doesn't. You collect Social Security no matter how much money you have.
So I think Christie was for means testing Social Security too. Chris Christie. So that is
I think so.
not a foreign.
I don't hate that idea. It doesn't bother me, but it does.
There is something fundamentally BS about not getting the money you put in.
It depends how you envision Social Security. Social Security is not, despite the myths surrounding it, Social Security is not money that you're socking away in a bank account somewhere for your retirement. I mean, that's what we talk about it as though it is the Social Security Trust Fund, but that's just, the Social Security Trust Fund is an accounting mechanism. There's not actually a bank account that this money goes into. It doesn't go sit somewhere. The Social Security money that goes in, because they started the program and they started paying people who were at that age right away, and they used the money from people,
younger
right?
people.
They use people who are working now and paying Social Security taxes to pay the people who are retired now when they started the program. But FDR specifically said when he created the Social Security program that doing it this way, not just setting it up as a part of the regular budget, but having it be its own thing where we collect money for it that goes directly to that. He said specifically, this will make sure they will never end my Social Security program because they all put money in, so they're not going to want it to end because they see it as money that they're putting into something specific that's tied to that. But so that was the plan. Is he wanted people to feel invested in the program because they paid taxes specifically for Social Security, so they felt they should be able to get it back. And I mean, it works, but what Social Security really is a wealth transfer to older people. And I don't know, I catch heat from the boomers when I say this, but we have to, the program's insolvent. So either you're going to have to start taxing younger people a lot more because there are more older people than there ever were. In FDR's time, when he created this program, life expectancy was 64. So there's no, you can't now with a life expectancy of 78 have the same program, and still retire at 66 or 67. Correct. Like, you're going to need to bump the numbers up. You're going to need to raise retirement age, right, or eliminate very, very wealthy people from the program or something.
Eliminate very, very wealthy people and tax critical barred in the rest of the gamers, millionaire, millennials, and Zoomers.
Yeah, we could also raise.
We'll give the Gen Xers a pass on this one.
We could also raise the cap on Social Security because you don't pay any Social Security on income over a certain threshold. It used to be like 100 and something thousand. So, if somebody's making $1 million a year, they're only paying Social Security taxes on the first 100,000. So we could say that we could raise or eliminate the cap as well. But if you want to do that instead of, changing the retirement age or other things like that, it's a really tough one, and Medicare is an even bigger mess. But Social Security, you can kind of tweak at the edges, and you could make the numbers work out if you wanted to, if you raised retirement age or changed the taxes enough. The Medicare is, that one's a nightmare. I don't know how we'll ever make Medicare work financially.
No, I think it's finito in like 3 years or something.
Yeah, it's done, and fewer people take it because they keep lowering the reimbursement rates to try and make the numbers work out. And as a provider, you don't want to take Medicare because they're reimbursing you at such low rates. That's part of the problem with like the Liz Warren plan to pay for her Medicare for all.
Is that a public option?
Yeah, well, it would be a public option, but basically, like, any plan that would make this work would have to lower reimbursement rates compared to what providers get now.
Right, and that would make hospitals go defunct, among other things.
It would be a problem.
Cooperatives, medical businesses.
And Liz Warren and people like that like to say, like, oh, well, they'll just fire all their administrators because they won't have to do all this medical billing stuff anymore, so that'll lower costs, and then they'll be able to get by on what we tell them they can get by on.
Right.
I'm like,
and
well, we'll see, maybe.
Right, but really the very thinly disguised, if at all disguised plan is to make private health insurance defunct. And so you have to move to the national health, as it were. Speaking of national health, I hurt my knee. You know this, right?
Yes.
Shoveling. I hurt my knee when it snowed.
I got you special copper and coenzyme Q10 infused knee things.
So, but I walk every day, a handful of miles every day, just about. But I hurt my knee by actually kicking forward. I was kicking. My back hurt so much for shoveling the driveway alone, even though I have many family members, some colder than others, that I was kicking the shovel to make the snow fly away. Because I couldn't lift it because my back hurt because I'm old and decrepit. So I did something to my knee, and I don't want to stop walking.
Do you stretch before you walk?
This is not a matter of stretching. Something has been torn or stretched here. It doesn't. I mean, I 1 month ago I was walking like a madman, no problem at all. Even for a fat guy, it was not a problem.
I'm gonna tell you something, because my mom had knee problems.
Okay.
And she looked into all the surgeries and everything, and her takeaway was that the surgeries can be like somewhat possibly effective, but the thing that has an even bigger impact and doesn't require doing surgery is losing weight.
Yes, I would think that would be, but the thing is that right now I have an injury.
Right.
So this isn't just simply me being a fat and one day the knee just blows out.
Right.
This is an injury caused by something. So I needed to not be hurting anymore, because what happens is then it throws off the whole entire transmission. Once my right knee is effed up, then my left knee is favored, and that starts to hurt. So I need, if you're listening out there, do you stay off? Should I not walk for a week, or should I? Do I rest it? Or do I walk through it? Or is there something oh, shit. I'm calling 911. No. Sorry. Hopefully, are they going to call back?
They might, depending how far the call got.
Great.
Well, this is fun. Tom's calling 911 live on air. That's
evidence
fun.
Okay, so yes.
So I always learned RICE.
Oh, really?
Rest.
Yeah.
Ice, compression, elevation.
Oh. Dang, I should have asked you.
I know. You never talked to me, so we never.
So rest?
Rest, ice it.
Oh, literally ice, okay.
Compression.
Not the immigration
No,
service.
not immigration. Okay.
Compression. Okay.
And elevation.
So compression is?
Either a wrap bandage or like those knee tube things that I gave you. Compression.
And elevation.
And elevation, which means you lie and you lift it up above the level of your heart.
Huh. If you're listening out there,
I don't know if the guidance has changed over the years.
I'm going to be getting my rice procedures very shortly. But if you have other tips or miracle cures in drugs too, those are welcome as well. I would certainly take them here because it's a pain in the. I can't. My walking career. Walking is the thing I do. It's always been the thing I do. Even when I was a kid in Winchester at night, I would just go walking. We had a dysfunctional house. It's a long story, but I've always walked miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. You know, when I lived in Medford, I would walk all the way down Highland Ave and Winter Hill to the train and walk back. I used to walk back and forth to Intercom, which was like 5 miles from Beacon Hill. But it doesn't matter. I'm a walker. That is my thing. So I need that to be not to be affected anymore. Now, guess who's walking away from Donald Trump, Alice?
Who else?
Geraldo Rivera has had enough.
Oh, wow.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, January the 13th. We're exactly 1 week before the inauguration of Joe Biden. It'll be held on the steps of the Capitol, defaced by those rioters. Hopefully everything will be buttoned down. Security will be intense, and I pray that everything goes smoothly. As often happens with me, last night, relatively late last night, I had a eureka moment that my loyalty toward Donald Trump, my old friend, was misplaced when it comes to what happened last Wednesday, a week ago, to the United States Capitol. I wrote, "A loyal friend hounded without mercy by Democrats intent on destroying him from day one." And that's what happened. They hounded him from day one. But then he lost the election. And losing the election made Donald Trump crazy. It revealed the dysfunction in him that I had refused to see. President Trump then unleashed a mob to make war on their own government. 5 of that mob to their doom. They died. Liz Cheney, the third-ranking Republican, is right. Donald Trump is richly deserving of impeachment. She's the most prominent congressional...
Geraldo looking right past the white supremacists. Unlike AOC, critical Bard and Cori Bush.
Republican to announce her support for the impeachment of Donald Trump. As I said, she's right. Without shame or remorse, Trump incited that mob to invade our sacred space. Maybe he beats the rap, but there's no doubt but that he did it. Should he be impeached? Bill Clinton in 1998 was impeached for lying about getting a blow in the Oval Office. No one drowned in the tidal wave of hypocrisy that followed that one. Donald Trump, 22 years later, lit a fuse that exploded in the U.S. Capitol, unleashed and incited by Trump. That mob killed 5 people, and it paralyzed our government. Shame on him. He should be impeached. If the Senate wants to acquit him, that's their business. But he should know that history is judging him.
So there you go. I don't like, the only thing about the impeachment is, and I think he should be gone, I don't like the charge of inciting. I mean, you and I feel that his dereliction of duty, his inaction, was the main thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so this incitement, if it was a legal thing, he said be peaceful. That's not where you get him. But obviously these are politicians being politicians, and it's overreach, and so yeah, I do not love that. I am trying to find.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love the charges either. It doesn't necessarily make sense to me. I don't think he thought that mob was going to do that. And I don't think that he intended for them to do it, or if we're going to start, like, there's way more evidence that politicians incited the Black Lives Matter riots over the summer in various towns. When you had people saying, like, there needs to be unrest in our streets until there's no more unrest in our lives. Like, if you have that happen and then a bunch of people's windows get smashed in, is that not just as much quote unquote incitement as what happened in DC?
Is what?
So, like, if Ayanna Pressley says there needs to be unrest in the streets until we don't have unrest in our lives,
yes.
And then a bunch of people's windows get smashed in, is that not incitement just as much?
Yeah, well, I would think so. I would think
that's like why I don't hold with the incitement thing. Like, I think that's ridiculous. I'm more just upset that, like, I just would like him to be presidenting right now.
Well,
and not...
he may be doing a little bit of that right now, because he has just released a message. The White House just released a message from the president from the Oval Office.
My fellow Americans, I want to speak to you tonight about the troubling events of the past week. As I have said, the incursion of the U.S. Capitol struck at the very heart of our republic. It angered and appalled millions of Americans across the political spectrum. I want to be very clear. I unequivocally condemn the violence that we saw last week. Violence and vandalism have absolutely no place in our country and no place in our movement. Making America great again has always been about defending the rule of law, supporting the men and women of law enforcement, and upholding our nation's most sacred traditions and values. Mob violence goes against everything I believe in and everything our movement stands for. No true supporter of mine could ever endorse political violence. No true supporter of mine could ever disrespect law enforcement or our great American flag. No true supporter of mine could ever threaten or harass their fellow Americans. If you do any of these things, you are not supporting our movement, you are attacking it, and you are attacking our country.
So, Ver, this is good.
This is really good. It would have been better had this video come out on January 6th and not January 13th.
If these reports of, 50 state capitals being attacked next Wednesday are accurate, and that there's more violence planned, then perhaps this could go to ameliorating or preventing that some.
Yeah.
But it's all the right words at all the wrong time.
We cannot tolerate it. Tragically, over the course of the past year, made so difficult because of COVID-19, we have seen political violence spiral out of control. We have seen too many riots, too many mobs, too many acts of intimidation and destruction. It must stop. Whether you are on the right or on the left, a Democrat or a Republican, there is never a justification for violence. No excuses, no exceptions. America is a nation of laws. Those who engaged in the attacks last week will be brought to justice. Now I am asking everyone who has ever believed in our agenda to be thinking of ways to ease tensions, calm tempers, and help to promote peace in our country. There has been reporting that additional demonstrations are being planned in the coming days, both here in Washington and across the country. I have been briefed by the U.S. Secret Service on the potential threats. Every American deserves to have their voice heard in a respectful and peaceful way. That is your First Amendment right. But I cannot emphasize that there must be no violence, no law-breaking, and no vandalism of any kind. Everyone must follow our laws and obey the instructions of law enforcement. I have directed federal agencies to use all necessary resources to maintain order. In Washington, D.C., we are bringing in thousands of National Guard members to secure the city and ensure that a transition can occur safely and without incident.
Just FYI, protesters today, I believe it was BLM, all over Washington, D.C., are screaming at the law enforcement that is out there.
Good, perfect. Well, that seems productive. I'm just struck listening to this, how different it is from what Democratic politicians and media people said following violence at Black Lives Matter protests. I mean, this is a great speech. Mm-hmm. I really wish he could have given it a week ago.
Right. Or how about one of this kind of tempered address per week with no Twitter for the last 4 years? He'd have an approval rating of 75%.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know who he has around him that enabled him to put out that video last week where he said, "I love you" to the people who stormed the Capitol. But who said, shouldn't there be people in the room who are like, I don't think, this is not where we need to be going right now, Mr. President.
I think that Geraldo was right. I think the election broke him and people broke with him.
Right. And that's fine. But so that was my bigger problem was with that. And I wish he could have given this speech and put this out there last week. But yeah, I mean, so just taking it at face value, regardless of the timing issue, it really is the right thing to be saying. Mm-hmm. And I wish that Democrats felt as comfortable saying things like this about violence from left-wing actors.
There's no utility in condemning violence from left-wing actors if you're a Democrat.
Yeah,
Maybe you can get into heaven, but that's not important.
No,
They don't believe in heaven. They believe in the myth of whiteness.
In our old town, when Steve Scalise and the congressional Republicans got shot up by a Bernie Sanders supporter, our school committee one of our school committee members was on Twitter complaining that she didn't quite say they had it coming, but said well, they don't support gay rights and stuff, so it's kind of hard for me to really feel bad about
they're
it.
Really good people. She's a really good person.
I was shocked and deeply saddened by the calamity at the Capitol last week. I want to thank the hundreds of millions of incredible American citizens who have responded to this moment with calm, moderation, and grace. We will get through this challenge just like we always do. I also want to say a few words about the unprecedented assault on free speech we have seen in recent days. These are tense and difficult times. The efforts to censor, cancel, and blacklist our fellow citizens are wrong, and they are dangerous. What is needed now is for us to listen to one another, not to silence one another. All of us can choose by our actions to rise above the rancor and find common ground and shared purpose. We must focus on advancing the interests of the whole nation, delivering the miracle vaccines, defeating the pandemic, rebuilding the economy, protecting our national security, and upholding the rule of law. Today, I am calling on all Americans to overcome the passions of the moment and join together as one American people. Let us choose to move forward united for the good of our families, our communities, and our country. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
I wouldn't be surprised if major news outlets completely ignored this. They are onto a storyline that is far too comfortable and enjoyable for them right now.
Oh, yeah, they're on
They've been working
planet.
on this for 4 years, and what's going on now, and the impeachment, etc.
Yeah, but I mean, this, to me at least, this makes me feel much better because I'm reassured that he accepts the results of the election now, at this point.
Well, I mean,
he doesn't
he
like
got a
him.
speech. I don't.
But I mean, a week ago, he was not in a place where he was capable of reading that speech into a camera.
No. So
he was not emotionally in a place
he's
where
had
he
a
could do
come
that.
to Jesus moment. I mean, it was a red speech. I mean, I don't think if this was a scrum, yesterday's scrum, he was talking about the witch hunt. So, but
yeah, but I mean,
but it also
that's
could
fine.
be, Alice, that he is just like the Joint Chiefs put out a statement yesterday.
Yeah.
Telling all of the armed service members in the country to respect the rule of law, and that Joe Biden was going to be president. There could be some very, very scary intel out there.
Yeah, so that's my thought too, is he's probably been seeing what's been happening with these investigations, at the DOJ and everything, and being briefed on what the threats are, as he said, and he probably doesn't like what he's seeing. So apparently, what the word on the street was after the riots and everything, and after he kind of saw what had happened at the Capitol, is that he was mad about it because he said it looked low class. Which is that's such typical Trump. It looked low class that these trashy people were running around Congress.
Was it the Wookiees?
But I think he's mad that this is tarnishing him and that he's stuck with this. And as he's seeing after the police officer died, he lowered the flags to half staff, which I think was a good thing to do. And then I think he's seeing the same videos and stuff. I'm sure he's still looking at Twitter, even if he can't tweet. I think he's seeing the same stuff that's out there about what happened at the Capitol, and I don't think he likes it. I mean, I think he genuinely likes law enforcement and likes law and order and likes the pomp and circumstance of the United States government, and I don't think he likes rabble running around and smashing things and, attacking police officers. I think he genuinely does not like attacks on police officers, for one thing. But
right. No, yes, either because out of humanity, because he is actually not a cyborg, or just because the adoration he gets from them.
Yeah.
Because he probably thinks they're pretty cool.
He likes cops.
Yeah, he probably likes the TV show Cops.
But so I think that I don't think he fully realized what went on Wednesday at first in those first few hours. And then, as more stuff started coming out, I don't think he liked being associated with what happened. And he's probably seeing more of this intelligence. People are planning this, people are planning that, and, seeing what people are saying on online forums that they're going to do. And he probably doesn't like it,
Right. I think that the cynic might also say that business interests are part of this as well.
The city of New York also cut all their contracts with him. I'm surprised, honestly, that they still had contracts with him after the incessant shrieking outrage about Trump for the last 4 years. I'm surprised people let that one slide for so long, but he's going to lose $17 million worth of contracts with the city of New York to run concession stands and parks and skating rinks and
I think that happens. Over at the media, the media continued to be classy and appropriate as much as possible. Today, obviously, George Stephanopoulos was enjoying covering Nancy Pelosi's brooch, while Jake Tapper had words for Brian Mast, who's a Florida congressman. He's a Florida congressman, right? Who actually lost his legs in combat.
Congressman Brian Mast, a Republican from Florida, who lost his legs, by the way, fighting for democracy abroad. Although I don't know about his commitment to it here in the United States. He said, There
you go. Nice, classy thing to say. That's where we are, Alice, on this date. Oh, is there anything else that was there something else I was supposed to get to?
I don't know if there's something you're supposed to get to. I have an update from the world of OnlyFans, which is a topic that intrigues me. So OnlyFans, I mentioned to you that, people do this and have been talking online about how they make so much money on OnlyFans.
Right.
So I've also seen if you get someone else to sign up for OnlyFans, you get a percentage of their money too, like a referral thing. So, which is kind of pyramid scheme-ish, but okay. But anyway, so the New York Times has a big report out saying that people are struggling to make money on OnlyFans. That as people have been put out of work by the pandemic, more and more women have flocked to OnlyFans, and that it's very difficult to make a living doing that.
Really? Uh-oh. Well, don't take it up a notch, certainly.
They write, the New York Times writes, OnlyFans, a platform that allows people to sell explicit photos of themselves online, has boomed during the pandemic. The site has more than 1 million content creators, up from 120,000 last year. But more competition means less money and the same risks.
Yeah.
So, and, they go on to cite how, women have lost more jobs during this pandemic. A lot of it less childcare options and other things. So, but yeah, OnlyFans has been booming, says Taylor Lawrence, during the pandemic, and it's been heralded as 2020's breakout success. But as more and more struggling people seek to make a living on the platform, they're finding it impossible to get by. What's the world coming to when you can't make a living selling naked photos of yourself, honey?
That's tough stuff. Hopefully the economy gets better, and
it is. I hope people choose other options. They are out there.
Yeah, try to avoid sending naked pictures of yourself to people. For one thing, no guy is not going to share it with the world, so your bought and paid for product is going to be highly distributed.
I mean, I would assume that they take steps to limit that. Make it harder to screenshot and stuff. Like Netflix makes it so that if you're playing Netflix on your phone, you can't screenshot the Netflix screen.
Really?
Yeah.
See, it's interesting. It's my phone called 911 because I don't know how to do it now. I don't know how to send out a distress call now. But anyway.
Yeah. So, if you need to send us a distress call, you can reach us on Twitter at BurnBarrelPod or on Facebook.com/BurnBarrelPodcast. Even on email, burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com. And you can check out our YouTube channel where you can comment on those and like videos and subscribe to the channel so you always see stuff first. That is Tom Shattuck's Burn Barrel on YouTube.
Enjoy your grandeur.
C'est la vie.